Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome back to Toffee TV. We are here in the Winslow. It's nice to be back after a week's break from the Winslow. Where's Pedro is, Baz? We're here to talk about Everton versus Swansea and Everton versus Burnley and whatever else we can find in between. It's getting a little bit tough, Baz, to talk about Everton at the moment, isn't it? It's flip-flop time, isn't it? But we'll find things to talk about because that's what we're here for. People are still talking. Some people are getting a little bit angry about certain things. There's the few meters going up slightly.
It has gone up.
That summer, which is fair enough because, you know, we're waiting to see what happens with signings and whether there's going to be any money. And Roberto Martin is having a little bit of a giggle about being creative, let's just say, when it comes to finances, which we'll talk about all that anyway. But we'll start with the Swansea game. Obviously, same team as against Southampton the week before. Obviously, no changes. Kone still up front, Lukaku still out injured. I mean, any thoughts that maybe should have been changed considering the lack of effect we had, you know, going forward against Southampton?
Yeah, I mean, you can understand why he kept the same 11 as the week before, but I didn't know whether it was the right thing to do was to start with Mirallas at the weekend, and I know he's kind of hinting he's injured, but he's quite clearly not injured. There's obviously something else going on, and I just felt they're probably two of the slowest centre-halves in the league.
Yeah.
Fernandes and Williams, and I think Mirallas might have turned him. You can understand why he started with Kone to try and keep hold of the ball, and I did say that on Saturday morning, and someone questioned him holding the ball up, to which I said, no, he'd be great at holding it up, and he was... That went well. But there was definitely a case as well, an argument for Stephen Naismith playing as the lone striker, because he puts himself about Nacy, you know, he can get you the goal. I think Kone, I thought he was going to start affecting it a little bit more. He looked decent with Lukaku against Newcastle and at QPR, but the last couple of games, he's gone backwards.
I think my problem with Aruna Kone is it's clear that injury is just, it's decimated his natural game. You know, being a year out, I'd like to say maybe we could get the best of him next season. I'll be honest, I'd like someone else to get the best of him next season, not us. But by that I mean, having a year out it does make a major effect. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. This is a lad who came back against Swansea in September, October time in the League Cup.
October.
You know, he was there and there.
Yeah, September.
He was there and thereabouts, wasn't he? So this injury's took a hell of a lot of time to settle down. I mean, we talk about, obviously, you're saying there about holding the ball. I mean, that's one of the things that we've said many times on this. Maybe playing with Lukaku, we can hold the ball and let Lukaku affect things. One of the problems I've noticed in both games is that it's not holding the ball up for me that is the biggest problem. It's actually getting into spaces where he can hold the ball up. He's just not mobile. He just can't get around the pitch. He just. I
know, but that's what I'm saying. Against Newcastle, when he started that game at Lukaku, he looked quite mobile. I don't know whether the injury at QPR, because I thought he'd done okay at QPR. He was stretching him, he was moving around. Then he got that injury, didn't he? And he was, you know, we had to go and have a scan, and he was past fit for Southampton. I was wondering, is he fully fit again? Is he feeling it? Because he's just not running, he's just not moving. No, I think if you've got, when Lukaku's there, Lukaku's quite mobile, doesn't have to play with his back to goal, so I think it brings more out of Kone because he's got someone else to hit. I think when he's the lone man up there, because he has got limited mobility, two centre-halves just crowd around him, he's just been forced.
I think we're talking about, you know, a player who's 32 now. You know, I think he's never going to sort of. We're never going to see the best of him, and after that injury was, you know, a horrific injury, which very closely, you know,
his career
nearly finished his career. So really, I think maybe we are asking a little bit too much for him. But if asking too much of him is to do things that are going to win us games or affect games, then clearly he's not the right player for Everton, and we're going to have to look to strengthen that area come the summer.
Definitely. I mean, you know, I've always advocated giving him a chance because in that season, his last season at Wigan, he got 17 goals and he he bullied Everton a couple of times that season, and he was a real handful, and you know, it's just really unfortunate that he got such a bad injury, and it was almost a career threatening on. Everton thought a couple of times that he wouldn't play again, so it's you know, it's testament to the lad that he's come back and is actually turning out for us. But I think you'd either play, you need a partner up there. You know what, in some respects it's a bit like Lukaku. Up on his own doesn't look the same player, and Kone, I mean, with Rom at least he's going to get you goals because of his mobility and he can run at players. With Kone up on his own, isolated, he's struggling at the minute. The last 2 games have really kind of, I wouldn't say found him out, but he's just looked very limited in the last 2 games.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder now whether we should have just cashed that dividend in on the insurance, to be honest with you. But
well, you know, a couple of teams are sniffing around him in January as a potential, you know. No, but look, there's always someone who will take a chance, and maybe come the summer.
we did.
Well, exactly. So, you know, maybe come the summer, someone else will come in and the club will decide to move him on.
Yeah,
you know?
I think definitely there may have been a case for Naismith to start, because I just thought we looked a lot better. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. I thought for the first 20-25 minutes we looked, I wouldn't say lacklustre, we just almost looked like we were, you know, just getting a feel for the game and getting into it. A great save from Tim Howard kept us in the game, you know, and I didn't think they had much about them, and obviously they got the early injury to Gomez as well, which that and the injury to Osman sort of changed the game. Pienaar coming on, I thought, on the left-hand side, gives a lot more presence. He held the ball a lot more, he used a lot more effectively. He won his fouls in key areas. He did all the things that we've been crying out that we simply don't have when he's in the team, and he just showed how good he can be when he's in the side. He's such an important player, and disappointingly a player who is coming towards the end of his Everton career one way or another. Whether it be this summer or maybe the next summer, but you know what I mean. But we haven't replaced him, and we've never really tried to replace him, and that disappoints me as a whole. But I thought he was fantastic once he come on.
He was fantastic. You know, I think it's easy to forget about how good he is. You know, he's been out for a long time. He came back not fit and looked a little bit slow, and you started to think, you know, as time caught up with him now as well, you know, but he came on Saturday and was back to probably the best I've seen him for a long time. You know, he linked up with Baines brilliantly, bought us time on the ball, so clever in possession, works hard as well, and like you say, the amount of free kicks he won us, just silly little turn, just put his foot on the ball, go down, buys you the free kick. And what he does better, this is what Osman's kind of done for us that other people haven't done, just holds that position. So Baines has always got an outlet in front of him, you've got double the protection. You know, people have had to go with Osman the last couple of games, but Leon Osman's there to do a job, and he's come in to do that specific job. We've got a tweet, you know, later on saying, why have we starting the likes of Osman on the left when we've got wingers on the bench? Well, it's because the wingers who played on the bench don't hold the position. They're not staying out there. No one's gone out there and done a good enough job to demand to play.
It's not just that though as well, is it? It's because it's the way Roberto Martinez wants the team to set up. I mean, we've got Alan Lennon playing now, and he doesn't naturally play right wide, you know, with getting Chuck on his boots. He comes inside. This is the way Roberto Martinez wants his team to play, whether you like it or not. He wants the full-backs to be the width. And then what Stephen Pienaar creates is, he creates a pocket of space that the full-back doesn't know whether to come to, and the midfielder doesn't know whether to come to, and that creates space for other players to move into. No, it was no shock to me that the goal came from, you know, our left-hand side. You know, where it didn't really matter how much Stephen Pienaar had to do with that goal. It was no shock that it came from that side, because he creates that little bits of space, those little pockets of space for other people to get into and get the crosses into the box.
Well, the pair, him and Lennon, both come inside a lot, you know, but it's the fact that they've got someone behind them at all times. They've got the fullbacks behind them. Other players will, when we've used Naismith there or Barkley there or whatever, they come in. Even McGeady doesn't really hold his position. Everyone comes in field, so the pitch is the whole pitch is shortened. It's more congested in there. Them two will go outside, then come inside and allow your fullbacks to go on. It's all about trust. Coleman now has got a cracking little relationship with Lennon. He knows when to go and when to stay. Baines has got that with Pienaar, and that's what happened. Pienaar dragged them wide. Lennon comes inside, into McCarthy, out to Kone. McCarthy actually ran forward for a change, you know, and puts a great ball in. And, you know, Lennon's really bright, reacts brilliantly, and a lovely little finish.
Yeah, it was a good finish. And I think what you mentioned there, the likes of Barkley and Naismith when they've been playing on the left-hand side, is they tend to come right inside when they drift inside, and all the midfielder, all the fullback does is pass them on. He passes them on to the centre midfielder. That leaves Baines with two players in front of him. But Pienaar and Osman's been doing it, you're right with saying about Osman as well. What they do is they find that space, as I say, and that midfield and that fullback don't know what to do. They don't pass them on. They don't know whether to come or go, and that gives Baines that space. But as I say, Naismith and Barkley just go right inside.
Well, they go from one side to the other. If you watch, they run across the pitch in a diagonal. And they end up holding hands with the right winger. And where Osman Pienaar don't, they'll come and stop. So the fullbacks, it's stick or twist. Do a holding position, and never do. He's got 10 yards. The midfielder do a get pulled out of position, and it just buys you that time.
And as I say, and all that does is, as a player, you just pass him on. You just say, well, yeah, you pass him on, you pass him on, and everyone, they're all going to be marked. Pienaar creates that little bit of space. As you said, lovely goal. Something from the goal we've seen as well was McCarthy getting a little bit further forward in this game. I've said that he could do this. I've said this before. I said it's something missing in his game that I felt like he had in his game. We've seen against Newcastle as well, where he pushed forward. I've always felt like he could drive forward. We've seen a little bit more of that recently. But what we did see in this game was him pushing forward and Ross Barkley sitting deeper. Do you think if those roles were reversed and Ross was just allowed to play further forward, we'd get a better balance in the side?
You don't know whether that's a conscious plan or whether that's just something they're doing themselves. I mean, the thing with James McCarthy is I've got no problem with him bursting forward, but so often he bursts forward, gets to the edge of the box and turns sideways and passes it sideways.
Which we've seen in this game as well.
We'll talk about that in a bit. I mean, for me, I don't think James has been anywhere near the level of performance I expect from him. What he set such high standards last season, and I think the last few games, I actually had a little bit of a moan on Twitter, which is unlike me, about him on Saturday, calling him fireproof, because other players, like Gareth Barry, he just gets slagged every game, and he was exceptional on Saturday, Gareth Barry. Some players escape any kind of criticism, and I think you're right to question players when they're not performing. I don't think James McCarthy is pulling up any trees for us. I think he's got more in his tank, you know, and I think he can become that player by making these kind of runs that he done at the weekend, bursting into that penalty area. But he's got to start taking chances when he gets in there. It was a great cross, you know, it was a lovely little give and go, carried on running, great ball in for Lennon. You know, he's got to be doing that 6, 7, 8 times. I look at him as a kind of a Roy Keane type player, but what Roy Keane had, and he had it from a very young age, was he'd pass it on and get it back, and he'd just burst into that box. Go running at pace in that penalty area, nobody wants to touch you. McCarthy does it great and then stops and turns and it goes wide, and you just want that little bit extra from him. Ross does it to a certain extent. He gets on that lovely little jink and run, he'll go by 1, by 2, and then he'll stop and drag it back. And do
you think they're both sort of playing half a game? Do you know what I mean? Rather than saying, right, well, you go and do this job for me 100%, and you go and do this job for me 100%. They're sort of playing half of each other's game. Whereas what you want is you want both of them to play 100%.
You've got the insurance there in Gareth Barry. So you've got two lads who can bomb on and bear. I still think, you know, this season has obviously been a really, really frustrating season. I don't think anybody, I seen Phil Jagielka the other day saying he can look himself in the mirror. Maybe he can since Christmas, but you know, he looked himself in the mirror before, from August to December. He'd seen Anton Alcaraz looking back at him, because
nobody wants to see that.
He'd had an absolute mare in the first half of the season, and he's had a much, much better second half of the season. But I think players are still unsure of the form. They're still not, they don't look like they fully trust each other, so they probably are getting half a game out of McCarthy. He probably is going and then thinking, hang on, I've got to be back so we're solid, you know. And Barkley still hasn't he's still, nothing's flowing still. He's doing some lovely, I mean, for the goal, that little round the corner was amazing. It was fabulous, you know. But then other times, the basics, he'll give a 3-yard ball away or he'll run into traffic. Everything, it seems like it's coming back, but it's coming back very, very slowly.
You mentioned that Ross Barkley thing, and that sort of brings me on to the next point. In this game, we played some brilliant football at times, some absolutely brilliant football. There was periods of just pure football.
Like last season.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Great to watch, moving the ball, getting into Ross creating a little bit of time, Pienaar doing the same. As you mentioned, Barry had a great game. He was keeping the ball, he was moving the ball. It was really, really good at times, and then it would break down, and we've seen elements of this season. We've seen in the second half things that we've seen on the first day of the season against Leicester, where it's just pass, not going anywhere, and then it just stopped. And this brings me on to like the next point. 1-0 up, half time. I thought we looked great. First half, we come out. First 15 minutes, I thought we looked fantastic. But again, we're not making the keeper do anything. We got to the edge of the area, and because we didn't have a forward, we had nowhere really to go.
Talking about how good the football was at the time, we've just had the Coleman shot, which was a lovely little move, and he hits a cracker, the keeper makes a worldie, we score. And then that move right on half time, when Coney should have hit it, he passes it to Pienaar, who forces the keeper into it. An average save, it was straight at him. Coney should be sweeping that in, but the build up to that move was absolutely it was phenomenal. In fact, it was great football, lovely football, like you say, like last season. And you spot on, there was loads of that. Great 2/3 of the pitch, marvellous, move it round. They were chasing shadows, to be honest with you. They were chasing shadows, they didn't know where we were going. We looked like last season, and you just thought, with Lukaku and last year, if it had been last year and Delafeu was there and things like that, we'd have won that game 3 or 4-0 because we were in such command of the game. We were walking through the game, but it was breaking down in the last third.
Well, I think even if Naismith had been up there, I think we would have had a lot more joy. And this sort of brings me to my point. We had that first 15 minutes really dominant spell, but as you said, we got to the edge of the area and couldn't really go any further because Coney wasn't creating any space or movement or helping, and we never really went anywhere. And then Coney starts getting erratic, then he starts throwing a few stupid, we got the book and he starts throwing a few stupid tackles in, and you can see exactly what's going on. I can see exactly what's going on. A lot of people could see exactly...
The one man who needed to.
And you're saying, please, take him off. Swansea were getting more and more dominant. They were going further forward because we couldn't go anywhere. He's starting to do stupid things. He possibly could have got a second yellow and that would have been it. And I'm thinking to myself, take him off. He's just becoming more and more erratic.
Well, that happened in about... There was the slide when his legs went from underneath him. And he caught the lad. It probably was a book, and he probably should have been sent off. That was in the 58th minute, and he went off on 72 minutes. And after that, he could have been booked again. He raised the leg to Williams. If Williams had made something of it, he'd have been off. Williams didn't. He cleared the ball.
This is what I don't...
I'm screaming, absolutely fuming with the manager because everyone can see it.
You can see it.
Ridiculous.
You could see against QPR the same thing. We 1-0 up. And I'm saying to myself, get Ross on now, put him in the number 10 position, take Coney off. Immediately what happens when you make a sub is, it changes the dynamics of the game. That QPR don't go on to score, we're 1-0 up and we make a positive substitution and we're looking for the second goal. What happens? QPR go down the other end and score, and then we end up losing Lukaku and Coney to injuries. Okay, we went on and scored the winning goal, fair enough. But in this game, it happens again. We're 1-0 up. You can see what the problem is. I'm thinking, make a change. Bring Naismith on. Look what happened against Southampton when Naismith came on. It freshened things up. It changed the point of attack. We looked like we had a threat. We stopped them from going forward. And the same could have happened here. You could see Swansea just getting a little bit of a grip on the game. And, he's about to make a sub. He's about to take him off. And the ball goes down the other end of the pitch, and yet, listen, Coleman, stupidity for what he did. I mean, first of all, did you think it was a foul on Coleman?
Yeah. Well, look, I think you get given them 9 times out of 10. the first thing I'll say is I want my defenders to defend, and the ball was there to be put out for a throw-in or a corner, just clear it.
Which we've said.
Clear it.
How many times have we said that?
But he's done that. We've conceded about 5 goals from Coleman's mistakes this season.
Arsenal was the same thing, wasn't it?
Just absolutely ridiculous. Put the ball out, stop messing about with it, clear it. Jonathan Woodgate, who you know, whether you liked him or hated him, was a very effective defender. The only thing he'd ever do is put the ball and play. If it was going there, just knock it out. And because you knock it out, you get everyone set. Then if they then take a set piece and score from it, so be it. But the stupidity, you know, you're 1-0 up, you're 4-0 up. All right, you know, you might want to try and play your way out of trouble. After that, after not defending it probably, a lot of referees probably would have given the free kick.
Hand on the back.
However, they just had 2 calls. Neither were a penalty, but the crowd were baying for a pen. So you don't give them anything then. And he's 25 now, he's not 18, so he's not a kid. You don't give any chances. You let the game settle back down and everything evens itself out. It come a minute, 90 seconds after the other 2. He was waiting to give it.
Definitely.
And once he goes down, he handballs it. Once he hasn't given the free kick, it's a penalty because he scoops the ball back.
See, I didn't really think it was a foul on Coleman, but if you'd switch those players round and it was the striker in front of the defender and his hand on the back and it goes down, he'll give a penalty there. So from that point of view, I was surprised. But once he hadn't given it was just pure stupidity from Coleman. So, listen, stupid, really, really stupid. But the bigger picture things, and you know, again, we got on Twitter after the game, during the game, and people are saying, how the hell can you say it's Roberto Martinez's fault when he's just done something like stupid like that? I understand that point, I take that point, but you got to look at football as a bigger picture. That you got to look at football as the bigger thing. Something that happens a couple of minutes further down the pitch can affect things. I mean, we've seen, I'll make a bigger point of this. Where Swansea won the ball back was in their half. The ball was on the their right-hand side. Coney was chasing for the ball. Now, if Coney wasn't on a yellow card, he would have threw a challenge in there. But because he was on a yellow card and was very close to getting sent off, he doesn't throw a tackle in. They keep the ball, they move it to the other side, it ends up into our penalty box. This is what sometimes you've got to watch the game, the bigger picture.
I've heard people talking about moments in games and things like that, and I remember the conversation about a year ago, and it was Glenn Hoddle, whether you like him or you don't like him, talking about when he say like football people and how you analyse stuff, and he said a lot of fans will just watch the final action. He said, but football people watch what's gone on 15 seconds before. Now, I'm not saying me and you are Premier League coaches and all that, but I genuinely, as a fan, think just because I've got older, just watch more of it. I always see the further back, who gives the ball away, have they give it away in a dangerous position, why have they done misplaced the pass. That whole, a lot of people will look at the Coleman incident and go, Coleman, it's his fault, Davey shouldn't have done it. I subscribe to that as well, shouldn't have done it.
I do.
But take it back, take it back. Manager affects it, puts a fresh pair of legs on, he can get about the pitch, block it off. If Coleman deals with the initial ball and puts it out for a corner, we don't get to point B, which is a push. Is it a push? Isn't it a push? Point C, he handballs it and it's a penalty. And you take it further back. Don't just look at the final action.
And I'm not being snobbish, you're not having a go with anyone.
No, it's not snobbish.
Just saying, it's just not just Coleman's fault. What we're saying is, what I'm saying is, the manager at 1-0 up with a struggling striker has got to look at it, and I've seen this so many times this season, and say, and I always say this, be proactive, don't be reactive. It's something I say when I play football as well. You've got to look at the game. Making a sub can completely change. You know, when it's the last 3 minutes of a match and you're 1-0 up, why do you think they bring on a sub to just play on one side of the pitch? You mightn't touch the ball or do anything. They do it because it breaks up the game. It breaks up
Unless
the game.
Unless you're bringing David Weir on.
Yeah, the Weir sub, yeah. It breaks up the game. It stops the momentum. It stops the flow of the other team. You know, just I think a stoppage in a game. You know, you play football, you know it yourself. A stoppage in a game when you're on top. It's like they always say, oh, we really couldn't have... half time. We didn't need half time.
The whole time out thing in the basketball.
Yeah.
Teams on top take a time out.
Yeah.
They get the ball back, call the next time out because it breaks it up. But the whole thing is, most Evertonians watching that will have gone, take him off, take him off. A lot will say it before the ball's even being kicked, but watching that, it was an accident waiting to happen. And I was amazed I was amazed he got to being substituted because I was convinced he was getting sent off.
I don't understand. We go 1-1 and he says, we'll sit Naismith down and we'll leave Coney on. What was he watching? Because he was going to get himself sent off. He wasn't doing anything to help us out.
Well, you can look at it there and go, right, we put Naismith on, who's a bit like for like, he'll go and compete, he'll win headers, he'll be a nuisance. Or we can actually turn them with Mirallas. They're pushing on at 1-0. I
did think Mirallas.
They're pushing on. 20 minutes left. We're still 1-0 up. We get Mirallas on and just start turning them as they're pushing. Them two but they could have set off now. They've only got there by about 3 weeks. The
minute Naismith come on, Swansea didn't go near us. They didn't go near us because he stretched them. He kept them back. Well,
I think we stepped up though. I think if you look at the game, and we're talking about looking at the bigger picture, so look at the bigger picture. They had a Gomez shot. They started off quite brightly, but they didn't really do. He had a 1-2 and the crowd got up, good tackle from Jags, I think it was. And they had the shot off the free kick, which Howard pushes wide. Other than that, they didn't have an attempt, I don't think. It was just set. We didn't really, but neither did they. But they're the home side, we were winning. Yeah. So the impetus is on them. And so we were just cruising through that game, and Coleman makes the mistake. If he doesn't make the mistake, we win that game 1-0. We probably wouldn't have scored again. They certainly wouldn't have scored. And you get through the game, and that's what it is. It's bigger pitching. You're right, Naismith come on, and Everton kind of stepped up a gear again then, and went back to it, and then we carve out that chance for James McCarthy near the end. You know, a lovely bit of football. Why doesn't he just take a gamble? He's in the penalty area, just gamble, just hit your foot through it. If you put it wide over, it doesn't matter. But I hate seeing footballers in the box with a clear run at goal trying to pass it square because they're not confident. Hit it. If you throw it and he parries it,
or keep going and
just run and make someone do something.
Someone might just come and clatter you and take you
Nothing wrong with driving in and then flicking it across, buddy.
Once you get into that box, you've got the momentum, you've got all the power. If a defender comes across you, you go down and you've got yourself a penalty.
And the thing is that Naismith wasn't expecting it there. That's why the defender was able to just step in and clear it, because he wasn't expecting. Once McCarthy burst, it opened up. It departed like the Red Sea.
Going back to the subs, I mean, this season, I think it's massively different from last season. I thought last season Roberto Martinez got everything right when it came to subs. He was making subs that changed games. I mean, you have to go back to the Merseyside derby. You know, the way he brought on. When Baines went off, he brought an attacking player on. And it changed the scope of the game. You know, he'd done it so many times during the season. And
what was weird about that derby was when Delafeu came on and that, Liverpool were just on top at that time. He was 2-1 up. Joe Allen had just missed that open goal. And you thought, these are, you know, put a like for like, put Gareth Barry to left back, stick him midfield. And he didn't. He threw Delafeu on, and Liverpool kind of went, hang on, what's going on here? And after that, it could have been, we should have won about 9-3.
And I just don't understand this season why he's done it so many times.
Do you think he doesn't trust the bench? Do you think he looks and thinks, or is it a case of pressure?
Back to Old Trafford, 2-1 behind. He's got Samuel Eto'o sitting on the bench, someone who'd been in decent form around that time. And you're thinking, throw him on. Go back to Southampton away. We're 1-0 down. He doesn't make a sub. 2-0 down. He doesn't make a sub. 3-0. He doesn't make a sub. And you just look at it and you just think, what's going on here? I just think he's been very, very poor this season. You know, on the sub. You look at things and with Roberto, it's hard to sort of actually put your finger on what's been different this season. But the substitutions for me are something you can actually point to and go, that this season has been abysmal compared to what you had last season. Last season, you were throwing subs on, you were taking chances, you were making subs while we were still winning, and we were pushing on for more goals. Whereas this season, you know, it's almost like we go 1-0 up in some games, and then he waits to concede a goal. And as you just said, that's a great word, trust. Because at 1-0 up, he's maybe thinking, well, they're doing all right at the moment. They're still winning. They're still in this. I don't want to mess this up. Now,
But that's confidence.
That's confidence, that isn't it? That's confidence in yourself.
In yourself, and it's confidence in your decision making. He doesn't trust his decision making clearly because who knows for whatever it. Look, everyone's played the part this year. Everyone's played the part. Though, haven't he? Players have not performed. Managers not performed. Fans haven't performed at times.
I think that's a very, very clear point that you can look at and go. And I've certainly seen it in the last 2 away games where I can point to them and go, see that's the thing which has cocked us up.
I'd raise you last Saturday against Southampton. We were up against the team who were very limited for me. They were just knocking balls up 70 yards. It was back to the 80s to Pele. We didn't have an attempt at goal in the whole 45 minutes, and we sat on our hands. It was almost like try and grind out. Now, I understand them wanting to put points on the board, no problem. We needed it. God, we needed it. We'd have been crying out for these kind of performances in October and November. Of course we would have done. But last week he had some players on the bench, like some Naismith, like some Mirallas, people like this who could have come on and affected the game, just changed the momentum slightly of the game and made them think. And we didn't. We're sitting on our hands, and that makes me wonder whether he has kind of got in his mind his best 13 or 14, and after that he's lost a lot of faith.
That would be worrying, very, very worrying.
Well, what else can it be? What other stuff can it be? Why is he not making those changes?
Go back to Saturday. He was going to bring Naismith on, so he obviously knew what he was going to do, but he should be bringing him on.
He should have brought him on the minute Kone slipped and they were baying for the red card and he gave a free kick and he didn't. He kind of calmed it down. The next action should have been Naismith, get on because this kid's going to get sent.
I just thought he should have brought him on anyway, regardless.
Well, he should have done, but you've got to react to what's going on in the game. He might have thought, if Kone hadn't done that, he might have thought, well, if we get a Runa a chance, we might get us a goal. Once that happens, it almost affects. You've got to make that decision very quickly, and he didn't, and that's something he's got to look at.
Definitely, I think. As you mentioned, it ends up 1-1. I thought we should have got the 3 points personally.
It's frustrating, just the final thing on it. It was frustrating for me because I don't think we've played as poor a side this season. I don't think we'll have an easier game because they had nothing. They knock it down nice, but they had nothing. They just looked like us in September through February. Absolutely nothing. Let's
have a look at some of the tweets we've got. We asked the question on Twitter at ToffeeTV1 asking what you thought about this performance. Hashtag Toffee tweets. Dave Downey has said, not asked. Fair enough. Wake me up in August or when Howard leaves.
He loves Tim Howard, does Dave.
He loves Tim Howard. Mark Rimmer, or Rimmer Mark on Twitter, said, thought Barry played well. Pienaar was positive when he came on, but 2 points dropped in the end.
I did have a blinder, Mark, to be fair. Cheers, mate.
At MJ Timon says, people moaning that no changes were made when we were under pressure, but was the same against Southampton. Fair enough. At Benno A.F.C says, get these 6 points out the way so we can start a summer of fume and meltdowns. Bring on the fume and the meltdowns. Jamie Armstrong 1 says, defence good, offence poor. Great to have Pina back. McCarthy out of position. Less said about Cisco, the better. Cisco, who could you be referring to?
At Lord Spence, Pienaar changed the game. A forced sub saved us. Why have Ozzy out left when we have natural wide players sitting on the bench? I kind of addressed that one before because they stay out there. At sunny Portleaf, some bright spots. Saw where we have missed Pienaar this season and his smarts on the pitch. Loved it.
Evie Oz says, still work to do with the team's confidence, but the team's confidence was good. McCarthy is being told to play far too forward. Interesting. Macha A.F.C 87 says, without Lukaku, it showed the lack of quality we have in the final third. Kone was non-existent. Adam _Kenwright says, another positive point to push us on to the top 10 finish, which is good considering our slow start. Very positive from Adam Kenwright there. Ethan R415 says, should have played Naismith from the start instead of Kone. It was like Kone wanted to be sent off. It's fair enough. And Jamie Wallace, he said, that 90 minutes was like the season, hard to watch. Hashtag stress.
I thought it was going to be a hashtag Stones. Edward Bowman, 2 point drop, strolling in the game until Seamus has his brain freeze, would have taken a point before the game. Ethan R415 is back with, would you give Spurs 15 million plus Lukaku for Harry Kane?
No!
Ethan, not
No.
a chance.
Sorry, I hadn't seen that tweet before.
No,
That's
Kane
tickled me.
plus 15 million.
That's actually tickled.
Mike Johnson, A.F.C, I've seen that game 30 times already this season, and Everton Andy won. No guts about them, mid-table clash, instantly forgettable. The jury is still out on Martinez, and Kone was woeful.
I'm still laughing at that.
You're still laughing at the Kane and Lukaku. Well, he asked the question, the answer's no. We wouldn't give Ethan.
That is brilliant. Brilliant. Now, obviously, one of the big talking points as well, something that's come out of this game as well, is whether we should keep Alan Lennon. Obviously, the talk is £6 million for him. Obviously, people are throwing in Mirallas into the mix, whether he might go to Spurs, and that could, be potentially, let's say, I don't know.
Why would Mirallas go?
Well, I'm just saying it. People, this is what people are saying. The people.
But I'm just saying that they're going to probably finish about 4 points above us. Well, anyway.
Would it matter? Professional football?
No.
Alan Lennon, would you keep him after his performances so far?
6 million. Without a...
6 million.
No-brainer for me. No-brainer. But just look for the simple reason that he gives us something that we've not got. Pace, fantastic, but
cool
it's
eyebrows.
Everything else. He's got cracking eyebrows all over. He really, his barber's going wild with that. Aaron, what's that little line that goes from your eyebrow into your head? That's weird, mate. It goes a bit lower.
One for every goal he puts in.
But, well, hey, if he keeps scoring, he can have them. I'll get them. If you get 20, I'll get them. No, look, his work rate and commitment and everything, I think, is fantastic. I said it a couple of weeks ago, man of the match against Newcastle. He was great to QPR, done well last week, and I thought he was excellent again against Swansea. I think that working back and doubling up and nicking the ball and everything else. He's come in. He's knuckled down. I think he wants to stay. I think.
Yeah, I definitely
he seems
think he
very, very enthusiastic about the club, tweeting the come on Toffees and all that. I know they all do it, but it's good to see. But £6 million, I'd have no problems whatsoever.
I think you're right. I think he generally wants to sign for Everton. It's very clear. Some people will definitely be out there saying, well, we've seen this before, players come and get loans and do very well, and then...
That Lukaku fella, yeah.
No, we've seen it. Listen, back in your day, Teddy Curran. Teddy Curran was the first.
Whip round, yeah.
He was the first one. Anyone doesn't know Teddy Curran, he was dead good on loan.
He was amazing on loan.
Not so good when he signed. People will probably saying that about Gareth Barry as well this season. But there's been plenty.
Yeah, but what you do with a situation like that, we say, oh, we're not going to sign him, and he goes back, and then someone else comes in and he goes and has, a couple of cracking seasons.
At the end of the day, what can you do? He's if he proves himself to the manager and the manager wants him, then the manager's going to sign him. I mean, it's effectively a long-term trial, isn't it?
Of course it is.
That's what it is.
It's brilliant. It's actually brilliant.
He's not wanted by Spurs, that's very, very clear. If he was wanted by Spurs wouldn't let him go on loan to another Premier League team with a view to a transfer. I mean, there you go. It's been said. He's on the side of Goodison.
He's got his own
little banner. He looks miserable on it, but he's got his own banner. I mean, smile.
Well, there's he doesn't take a good photo. His mum's always telling him off. That's what he said.
Well, fair enough, but I think he's doing enough. First few games, I was a bit worried, and I'm still worried when it comes to his end product in terms of crossing. I think his crossing needs a lot. There's a lot to work on. Or instead of crossing the ball, Coleman maybe needs to go past him a little bit more at times. But certainly the job he's doing, and as we've mentioned it previously, is he doesn't always stay out wide. He doesn't always necessarily get chalk on his boots. He comes in a little bit further. And we've seen him score a couple of goals from being inside. I mean, you think about the goal he scored against QPR, it came from the right, which is his side. Yeah, he was in the centre of the pitch. He, at times he's playing off the forward. The other
day, though, it was a cracking finish. To come up when he took it into the floor was a great goal. And the thing about him is, it is that infectious work rate. The reason why he's playing better now is because we're playing with more shape. The first few weeks when he got in, we had no shape. He was playing as a narrow striker, so he was never getting the ball. He was getting the ball with his back to goal. And he's smaller than me. Snow White's still looking for him.
And as I mean, Baines has mentioned it this week and said, you know, his work rate sort of putting a few other players to shame, and they all feel like they have to step up when he's playing. And we've mentioned, you know, he what he does is as well, he's pressing from the front. He is putting defenders under pressure straight away.
Strachwell-esque.
With better teeth. He is really helping us defend from the front, which makes a massive difference. And listen, whether you think 6 million is a lot of money, or regardless of what that is towards Everton's transfer, you know, Kitty, I don't know, and that'll be something we'll have a chat about on another day. But for £6 million, I think he's coming into his peak years, or saying he should be. He's clearly still got a lot of pace. You know, it's still clearly there. And all doom-mongers out there, they'll go, yeah, but if he gets an injury and he loses the pace,
and he won't get an injury,
he's finished, isn't he? Well, that could happen to anyone, but at the end of the day, he's still got that pace, and I think we could get him for a decent fee and bring him into the squad, and he's fitted in straight away, and he hasn't caused any, you know, problems or anything else. He's just gone in there and worked hard for him. And you know what? I think if there had been a few issues, he wouldn't have played so many games so far, but he's gone straight in there. And I think for some, the idea of Kevin Mirallas leaving the club now isn't such a big issue. You know, it doesn't seem to be that much of a problem, whereas before Lennon come in now, I think the idea of losing Mirallas would have just been like a nightmare for some people. But now I think people look at it and go, well, actually, this lad is more consistent in games.
We're already kind of getting led down that path anyway, aren't we? Mirallas, you're seeing him for 3 minutes at the end of a game, and Lennon's playing every week. So, look, you know, I think it's quite clear that unless there's a U-turn from our lovable Belgium, he's gonna be off to pastures new. And he's been here a few seasons. Fair play to him. If that's what they want to do, they come for 2 or 3 years and move on. You can't complain at that. You know, I like Kevin Mirallas. I think he's a cracking footballer, but not always consistent. But you know, if he's to go, then I'm more than happy with Aaron Lennon. No question about it. Well, I mean,
my biggest problem with Mirallas, and I suppose it's always been the problem with Kevin Mirallas, is he plays, he gets better, he's playing really well, he gets injured. He comes back slow, he starts playing well, he gets injured. And you only actually get about 3 or 4 games at his very peak, and then something happens and he goes out the side, and it's been the cycle all the way through. And you know, he is a player who
he's a match winner on his day.
He is a match winner. He's a very, very, very good player, but the fact that he's not at a top club and he's a very, very good player means he's got limitations that are very clear. And
we can all see that, can't we? If he had Aaron Lennon's application and work rate, you know, then he would be probably at a very, very top club.
Yeah, and so for me, I think it's a no-brainer. I still think Lennon's got a lot he can work on, but what I've seen,
never stop working.
When he was at Spurs, I thought he was just a player drifting nowhere. You know, before he signed, people did say, actually, you know what, this lad works hard. And you mentioned early on, he's starting to get a little bit better partnership with Coleman now. We're not as reliant as Coleman going forward. He does work back. You know, so he's doing things from that point of view. I still think he's got a few things to learn, but he looks like he's got the hunger back in his game.
Yeah, but it's a new club, isn't it? New club. You know, he's at Tottenham a long time, but don't forget, it'll be the start of what this could be now, and what it is the start of Roberto Martinez, Everton 2.0, if you like, and starting to rebuild and starting to move players around. I'm going to lose quite a few in the summer.
We will do, and we'll do more about this, but this summer is potentially when Roberto Martinez gets the squad that is
more or less
all
that
is,
he wants,
yeah, you know,
when Cleverly comes and plays like that. But we'll do that on another day.
We can make another day.
What are the people saying? What we're saying? What are the people saying?
We asked people on Twitter, hashtag Toffee tweet at Toffee TV, what they thought. Alzo206 says, signing Lennon, no-brainer, brilliant work rate, positive in possession that creates energy in our attacking player. Michael Tayman says, Thought 6 million was too much, but I'd buy him now. Also would be smart with the homegrown quota possibly increasing. Mark Van Meel says him and Cleverly are certain signings and will be good team players, but we also need to bring in individual quality like Delafeu. Manny_A.F.C says has to be signed. It makes the team all work a bit harder, limits their fullbacks and grabs a goal. Dallas Ralston, cracking name.
That's
Dallas. Would love to see him make the move. Parent, he has been class. I think his attitude has kicked some in gear, which a few people there saying the same as what we have.
Leighton Baines.
Yeah, Jamie Armstrong says signing Anna Lennon is a no-brainer. Gives us energy and pace both going forward and in defence, being brilliant. Jamie Wallace, he said he's got great engine on him, runs non-stop and has the worth ethics in his putting up other players to shame. Any more there?
Adam_Ken writes, Aaron Lennon has the ability to become a great, should be our marquee signing this summer. Adam, you are very positive. I wouldn't say. I hope he's not the marquee player.
No. And we sold the marquee anyway.
It's gone. Went a couple of years ago, so we don't want that back.
Can't really be using that 10 for him, the unveiling.
The 10's gone. Alan Kerwin, depends on the price. Useful squad player for 5 million. And Serenity Nye simply says yes.
Okay, we've got a few more. Mikey Cleve says would be a fantastic signing, only 6 million for a proven Premier League player who wants to be here, unlike Mirallas. Where Everton A.F.C says the chances of signing Delafeu are highly unlikely, and Januzaj rumours are a load of
rubbish.
Begins with B. Lennon, he's done more in 3 games than the majority of the team has done all season. I'd take him for 6 million. Alex Cog says, think he's become vital, just needs another good winger on the other flag to complement Delafeu Januzaj. Or we can just put Pienaar in the team.
We need others, don't we?
Mark Echel says, get him signed up. He's a hard worker and got class, which is more can be said for a few of our so-called stars. So a lot of people are picking out the point that he's working harder than other players. He's putting other players to shame. And everyone said sign him. There's been no negativity at all. Everyone's saying sign him. I'm not seeing anyone saying that we shouldn't sign him.
We know that Roberto Martinez watches Toffee TV, so there you go, Roberto. No further questions. Sign him.
There you go. Happy days.
Done.
Yeah, so definitely sign Anna Lennon. That seems to be the consensus of both me and Baz and anyone who's tweeted us in. The people. Don't forget, everyone, your opinion at Toffee TV1. Hashtag Toffee tweet. Also leave your comments in the YouTube videos down below, and we'll read them out on the videos as well. Let's turn to Burnley. Obviously, Burnley coming up at the weekend.
No Darren Gibson
out for the rest of the season. How many times have we said that? We haven't. It's the first time, but we could have. We could have
said it loads of times.
But yeah,
that is probably the first time you said it.
It's annoying, isn't it? It's really annoying. This lad starts playing well, helps the team, moves the team forward, and then goes and breaks his toe. You know what? It's so annoying. It's always a different injury. You can never go, oh well, it's this or it's that.
But at least with it being a different injury, that you kind of think, well, you can get over the broken toe.
But it also means he's made of glass.
Allegedly. He's a good player, isn't he? It's really disappointing that he's picked up an injury at the time, and he was probably one of our best players. So it's frustrating. Get well soon. Darren with an O, not an E.
Moving on from that, I mean, Burnley, they're a tough team. They make it hard. I think, for them, they've only obviously got players of a certain level. They never went out and sort of went mad when they got into the Premier League. They knew what they wanted to do. Sean Dyche, I really like him. I think what he says is, I've got a team here who are going to work as hard as they can. They're going to make it tough, but we've got restrictions and we'll do the best we can. He's not, he's not even like saying it's going to be a massive drama if we go down. He's going to say, I've got a team here. If we go down, we'll build to come back up, and we'll layer it. We'll keep trying to get better and better.
Do you just like him because he's ginger?
he's almost like...
Have you got like that ginger brotherhood with him?
No, he's almost like...
I have, like...
He's like an evil ginger, though, isn't he? He's like, you'd like to think it was like, if the ginger master race was ever going to take over, he would be the leader of it.
I'd be up there.
He would definitely be up there.
You wouldn't argue with him, would you?
Definitely.
There's no wonder they run around like loons, don't they, every game, because you wouldn't want to come off and have not put it in.
Well, as you say, I mean, they do make it very, very tough for teams. I think, you know, teams that play them have a little bit of quality normally get through. But they've made it very hard for
teams. I think what they do really well is the front two, Barnes and Ings, work really, really hard. And they start from that, and that kind of, what we were saying before about Aaron Lennon with us, that kind of sets the ethic for the rest of the team. And everyone else, they're all 100% effort, which is why no one's really tonked them this season. They had the 4-1 against Chelsea in the second game of the season, or whatever it was. Other than that, it's been 1s and 2s really, hasn't it? You know, no one's really give them a pasting, so, you know, it's going to be one of them. It's going to be a really, really tough game.
And, you know, it's easy for us to sit here and say, well, you know, we're at home and we should be beating them, but, you know, they've got something to fight for. They can still get out of that bottom three. You know, the way, you know, the whole form and their run, that's very tough. You know, they've got a really Sunderland, you know, they've got it smashed at the weekend. So, you know, they'll be thinking, right, go to Goodison. You know,
even a point for them is a great result.
Flip-flop time for Everton.
No, you've said that 3 times. Well, no, it's not. No, for you it is.
No, but it is. But that's what other people. That's what other people will be thinking. I don't care what other people think. It's not flip-flop time. It's blood and guts for like Burnley. They'll be thinking, well, do they feel the same? It shouldn't be. Don't get me wrong.
It can't be for us. It can't.
Well, it can't be because of the season we've had.
It dictates budgets in the summer. It dictates players' careers. It dictates all of that. Our fans deserve 4 top performances at Goodison from now till the end of the season, for sticking, going up and down the country and everything else being there. Our fans deserve 4 top class performances, so it shouldn't be. It should be a blood and thunder game for both sides. Obviously, we've mentioned the team that started against Swansea and the changes we would make. I mean, what changes would you be looking for this game? I mean, you want to be positive, you want to be bright as you can. We've seen a video of Lukaku. He's out there, he's training. I love the way someone tweeted him. Love the way you left Alcaraz for dead there. It was basically just a training cone. You know, the wall fella. You know, he's out there, he's having a go, he's in training, looks fit. He said, I'm nearly there. So hopefully we'll How many takes that video? When he finished it, then he scored.
First
one.
How many?
First one?
First one.
Okay.
Proven Premier League striker. So he'll be back. I'm hoping he'll be back.
He'll be back. It'd be great to have him back. Yeah.
Pienaar on the left?
Yeah, 100%, definitely. Any
more changes to that team?
I don't know, because I think you're looking at it and thinking I'd like him to play, to be honest with you, I'd like to see him mix it up, because I'd like him to play Naismith up with Lukaku in this one. Take Coney out, possibly take Ross back out, or take Gareth Barry out and have McCarthy and Barkley as the middle two this week. Really stretch them with width and see if Naismith and Lukaku can kind of ignite that.
I'd like to see him do that, but with Ross playing with Lukaku. That's what I want to see. For the rest of the season, I want to see Ross playing as a proper number 10 and saying, go on, finish your season strong, because that's where you want to play. That's your position. Because I don't think Ross can play anywhere else. I don't think he wants to play anywhere else, and I don't think you'll ever see the best out of him.
He's not doing enough for me in that final third.
But I don't think he's playing in that final third.
But he's been in. He's not running, he's not turning, he's having shots, whacking them 400 foot over the bar. For me, you've got to mix it up. What I want to say, I want to get us this win Saturday. That gives us 41 points. We're safe then, we're safe as ours. And then we've got other games coming up, and I want to see the likes of Garbutt getting in there. I want to see Tyus before the end of the season. I'd like to see Ryan Ledson have minutes before the end of the season. You know, people like this, I'd love to have seen Chris Long get some time. You know, these games, Brendan Galloway, just even if these lads are just in the squad and on the bench and getting 10 minutes at the end of games. But let's get over the line first against Burnley, and then, you know, let's start looking at what we're going to do. You know, you're probably right in terms of Ross. Give him game, just say, look, he's starting every game now till the end of the season. Get your fang on.
I'd love to just leave Ross up there, because I just don't think I just don't think there's a future in that midfield. I just can't see it. I think that he's got to play. I think there is a natural connection between him and Lukaku. We've seen it loads of times. We've seen almost you get the best out of both of them when
you may do, because you're now getting natural width with Pina. So you're going to have a right winger and a left winger in place like we did last year. You're not going to have someone who's chucking in constantly, so Ross has to go in that. What you want to see him is, I want to see him driving a place. I want to see him running, putting the brakes on and turning and passing it back. I want to see him affecting the final third, and by doing that, drop his shoulder and pop it.
I also think when he plays with Lukaku, you know, you mentioned there the Swansea game and how many stupid shots he has. I think he does that when he gets frustrated. He doesn't see anyone in front of him and he doesn't see any other option. I think when he's got Lukaku there, I think he thinks he's got an option in front of him, and also Lukaku moves into space for him. And,
space.
You know, when he's got...
I just think, I think you're right. I think you're right, but I just think there mightn't be another season like this where we can literally use some of these games to see where players are at. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult because it's money. It's 1.2 million a place.
But that's why I'm saying put Ross in there. Because you might, this is that for me. That's his position, and that's where I think
that's where he's always going to get a chance. Whereas
I haven't really seen him get many chances there this season
because we haven't played well enough, have we? And the manager's made the mistake of having us too narrow this season. That's why. You know what I mean?
I'd say I think it's going to be a difficult game. Burnley down there on 26 points, and QPR are on 26 points. Hull 28, Sunderland 29. So they're going to be thinking, right.
Of course, look, they can come and cause us problems, because like you said, we've got 38 points. We are more or less safe, right? Well, it could be, but you know what? That win, that incentive, you win 41 points, you've nailed on safe. You're also looking at the likes of West Ham. You're close touching distance. Them and Stoke drew at the weekend, but right by them. You know, we're not too far away from that top 10.
I've only got one request for the rest of the season. Finish above Newcastle.
Well, there you go.
My only request. Well, that's how low.
This was getting filmed about 2 hours before Liverpool beat Newcastle about 9-0. So I don't think you've got anything to worry about.
It gets so low when your only hope is finish above the horse punchers. It's just, it's how low it's got. But
Pards will finish above them.
Pards is rocking it.
Yannick Bolasie, that's who I want us to say. Anyway.
Pards is rocking it.
Predictions?
I'm going to go for... Do you know what? I think there might be goals in this. I'm going to go for the 3-2 win for Everton.
What a game.
I think I've got a feeling. Danny Ings, the next Liverpool number 9.
Yeah.
Definitely. You heard it here first.
Him and Origi, he'll be worldies up front for them. 6 goals between them. I'm going to go 3-1 Everton. I'm going to go through. I just think we'll tonk.
I think it'll be a ding-dong game. Ding-dong. It's going to be a ding-dong game.
That's terrible. We've even got Steve giving it the shake in the head. Although Steve did look like Leslie Phillips then.
He does. He does a cracking shot of Leslie Phillips stroke Willy Wonka back there. Right, we didn't think we had much to talk about. We got plenty to talk about. We could talk about the what paint was on the walls. We could have a good chat about that. Right. Thanks for watching Toffee TV. We have been here in the majestic Winslow. We've got to say that to be billed as a studio. If they want to keep us so
subscribe there.
Yeah, don't forget, if you want to leave comments, leave them on YouTube, Toffee TV 1 on Twitter, Facebook as well. Just search Toffee TV, you'll find us, and it is the one with Everton, not the one making weird toffees and stuff. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, God willing. We'll catch you then.